Morning, everybody. It is I. It's bigz. Welcome to Breakfast with bigz. I'm starting a little early because I'm in the process of making my coffee. That's going to serve as my breakfast. And we out here taking victory laps for calling Cole Kmet. Anybody who watched my Friday show over on Player Profiler News saw me and Chev talking about Cole Kmet and me saying, I'm not out on Cole Kmet. He's had 2 straight tight end 7 finishes, and there's no reason why he can't do it again. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe, hit the bell. Ask me your start and sit questions in the chat. We're still starting in about a minute, but technically we started, I guess. I'm here for you. We're watching football. We got the Bears and the Jaguars. And I take a Cole Kmet victory lap, but for every victory lap you take about 30 hits. And yeah, some misses along the way, and that's okay, because the more you do, the more you hit, and the more you do, the more you miss also. It's kind of like Trump's COVID testing. Well, if we test more, then we're going to come up with more cases. So if we want to keep the case number down, don't test. Yeah, if you want to not miss out, if you want to not miss any calls, don't make them. But I'm out here. I'm putting my reputation on the line, and that's what I do. All right, so I've got my data sets live. Most of it is wide receiver related because it's fantasy, y'all. That's what we do. But I do have some running back stuff, I guess. First question that we're going to look at, where to go? Moss or Laporta at flex asks, unlike _ Mike. Oh, you guys ever have Japanese style coffee? It's when you brew it straight over ice. It's so good. That's tough. All right, let's see. I'm assuming you mean Zach, not Randy. And we got the Bengals going up against the New York Giants, who allow 0 rushing yards versus the average. So that means they are the average run defense. But he does have Chase Brown in there. I didn't see his Zach Moss's status this morning. Zach Moss. Oh, he's a Zach, not a Zach. Shout out to all the Zaches out there. Wait, were we supposed to bring our own breakfast? No, I can go whip you something up real quick, Tootsie Pop. Shout out Rachel, if that really is your name. Yeah, it's kind of like eat your breakfast with bigz. So sorry if there was some miscommunication there. So Moss is playing tonight. I think. Let me dig a little further. Thanks for coming up with a tough question, unlike _ Mike. Which is a cool name because my brother's name is Mike, and my partner, Mike Greinberg, his name is Mike, and you are unlike either of those two. All right. Zach. I do have a Randy Moss jersey. I should put that up behind me, and then people would think that it was Zach Moss, only it's purple. Okay, and Laporta. Oof. You got to go Zach Moss. I mean, you got to. just based on their seasonal output. Zach Moss has 3 times the fantasy points as Sam Laporta, and Sam Laporta's touches, his shares, his routes, all that stuff has been consistent throughout the 5 games that Detroit has played, or four games. 4 games that they've played. 5 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 4 targets, 80 to 90% snap share. I mean, it's been pretty consistent, and Zach Moss is going against a very average run defense, so you got to do that. All right, Tootsie Pop, Jerome Ford, Darius Slayton, Tucker Kraft. For Scott Fishbowl, well, if I tell you the right answer, then you're going to do better than me in the Scott Fishbowl, and why would I want that? I'm just kidding, because I am 62nd from the bottom. I went from second round of the playoffs last year to bottom 100. All right. I think what it was is I just put too much emphasis on on that guy, Evan Ingram. God damn it. Who just fumbled. I put too much emphasis on the kick return thing. You try and be smart and clever, and there's a fine line between clever and moron. And I found that line. All right, so Jerome Ford, Cleveland, good matchup. Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton was the number 1 pickup on waivers this week because he had 11 targets in that game against Seattle. This week, they are going against the Bengals, who hemorrhage points but not yards against wide receivers. Let me look at the G. 21 points to outside wide receivers. Cincinnati gets up versus 11 to slot. But then you got the Kraft tight end premium points. 2 super hard questions to start off, you guys. Breaking me, which is cool, I guess. Kraft got in the end zone twice last week, which was the major reason that he had so many points. So if like in regular leagues, in non-Scott Fishbowl leagues, if you have to if you had a need at tight end, and you have to start Kraft, then that's fine. But I wouldn't count on his touchdowns. Slayton is another story. Slayton is a weird one because, here he is. He's 27. He's never finished better than wide receiver 37, which he did as a rookie. But he had 26 points against Seattle on 11 targets and 8 catches and a touchdown. So even at his, if he's getting that work, you got to go with Slayton, and I would say Jerome Ford over Kraft. But that is another tough one. You guys are working me hard today. But I don't mind it. Yeah, Jerome Ford, you've got the floor, and Slayton, you've got the ceiling. So that's what I would do. Yeah. We are rocking and rolling, aren't we? The only saving grace for Evan Ingram is that in the Scott Fishbowl, they don't count negative points. And in the Fishbowl, he's got five catches for 64 yards, two receiving first downs, and 2 points for tight end first down, 16.9 points. So finally, it's been long enough. Thanks for showing up in week 6, Evan. I don't know if you can hear that. My dog is trying to dig a hole to the bottom floor. More starts and sits questions, you guys. Let's go. Get them in there. I mean, we can just kind of sit here if you want. Do I have enough Raiders branding? I like the hat so much. I'm a former season ticket holder, so I had the flag because that's Raider Nation. Also, I represent everybody in this rich tapestry hanging quilt that we call humanity. So I have the all-inclusive flag and other assorted memorabilia. Plus, it's finally getting cool enough to wear a sweatshirt. So I got my hoodie on this morning to walk my dog before I jumped on. Kind of funny that I walked into the office here and I saw that the sun was shining through the window as it's coming up over here because it's like 8 o'clock on the West Coast. And I was like, ooh, maybe I'll get some natural light on my face with the sun shining through the window. And then I sit down and it's this box that's a box of Bright that just like partially over my face. And I was like, all right, close the blinds, turn on the lights. Here we are. Here I am. I'm signed, sealed, and delivered, you guys. I just said you guys, but it's like there's nobody there. It's cool. I can drink my coffee and watch my game and just wait. No big whoop. I do want to shout out my partner and co-host, Mike Greinberg. We were having a little discussion, and he was talking about getting some like HDMI adapter kind of thing for his streaming setup, blah, blah, blah. And it triggered a memory in my head of a piece of equipment that I have, this one, which is an HDMI adapter. So you can plug your phone into this and then run an HDMI cord out of it into a TV, and you basically play what's on your phone on your television. And I was like, ooh, I have a problem because I only have 2 USB ports and I have 3 things, my mouse, my microphone, and my camera, that need to go into the USB ports. So I need a port. Well, then I noticed that there's a piece on the desk that's part of my girlfriend's office setup, and it's just hanging out, not connected to anything. And I was like, you know what? I can hook those 2 things up to this thing. And then I can run my mouse along with my camera, because it's really hard to like jump around to this page and that page when you just have your trackpad and not like a mouse. So now I have my mouse. I can wheel it around. I can make circles around my face with the hand. Like I can slap myself. Whoops, wrong way. But you can't see the hand. So that's kind of a bit that doesn't work. So anyway, yeah, I saw we had a viewer jump in, and now they're gone. So it's called Breakfast with Bigz. I hope you're eating breakfast or brunch. Hey, it's brunch time on the East Coast. But like the Twitter prompt was, hey, Oh, what a catch. Keenan Allen. That was a professional catch. That was a catch that somebody makes getting paid millions and millions of dollars a year to catch a football. Because I don't think I could have made that catch. And I'm a dude, so of course I have an outsized idea of my prowess, as it were. But yeah, also a dime by Caleb. I feel like we have a Caleb Williams coming out party at this point. So yeah, so it says like lineup questions, start and sit questions, etc. in the Twitter prompt. So if you're gonna pop on to watch, ask a question while you're here. Let me know you're here. We already had the Tootsie Pop, Rachel, and unlike underscore Mike. And so if you're here, pop in a question. I don't mind. That's what I'm here for, literally. Or just sit back, relax, eat your breakfast, and watch me drink coffee. Out of a tumbler I got at a Notre Dame game in South Bend, Indiana, when my California Golden Bears traveled to Notre Dame to take on the Fighting Irish, and I watched Michael Mayer score the winning touchdown against my Cal Bears. And then the following year, Michael Mayer was drafted by my team, the Raiders. And now he's having a mental health crisis and is away from the team. And it was Mental Health Awareness Day the other day. So mental health is a serious problem in our society. I know I was a counselor for a while. What up, Brian? All right. We have a problem now. There's too much Brian in the chat. Yeah, I was a counselor in psychiatric hospitals and substance abuse facilities for about 15 years. That was my profession, my vocation. And I've seen the mental health crisis firsthand. I was part of a crew that was placed in an emergency room at a regular hospital to handle the overflow of psychiatric patients that would go to the hospital, to the med-surg hospital, because the county shut down half of their mental health beds. So if you're going to donate to a good organization, make it your county mental health center. All right, Brian has a question. Wicks, Charlie Brown, or Tracy at half PPR? Interesting question. My instinct is to go Charlie Brown and Tracy Morgan. Digging a little deeper, the Arizona allows 14 fewer yards per game than average, and 18.9 points to the wideouts, 13.8 to the slot. I feel like Dontavian Wicks runs more of his routes in slot. And on top of that, he has like a 30% catch rate or something like that, which is absolutely terrible. He's going through it right now. He's got the yips pretty bad. So I would stay away from Dontavian. In half PPR, typically in full PPR, I lean wide receivers in the slot because of the PPR, the fact that they can like immediately earn 8 targets and 70 yards, or eight catches, whatever. That's an easy 15 points, where with running backs it's a little bit harder to get to that point, unless you have a receiving back. And so you opt for the receiving back. If you don't have a receiving back, then you opt for the wide receiver. In half PPR, it's a little bit different. They're getting fewer points per reception at running back, so that boosts running back's value. I know that sounds contradictory, but it's true. And then the thing about Tracy is that last week, all of us who said start Tracy, me included, I have receipts, weren't necessarily counting on the 129 rushing yards. That was just a plus. We were counting on him getting an opportunity to have 5, 6, 7 catches in the game. He had 2 targets, so he had his breakout, but it was on the ground, which means that there could be some serious receiving upside coming. So I love him. Chase Brown is in he's in a backfield mix, which makes it hard, but But Wicks has a lesser matchup. He's not the number one receiver on that team. Excuse me. And he's also dealing with a ton of drops. So I'm going Charlie Brown and Tracy Morgan. Thanks for the question, Brian. Appreciate you, bud. Someday, Brian Hartman is going to have me on his show talking about the Back to the Future series. And my hot take, which I'll give you a spoiler now, is Back to the Future 3 is better than Back to the Future 2. What? Yeah, I said it. Back to the Future sucks. Have you seen it recently? It does not hold up at all. I feel like we all have in our head, because we're sports fans, that, yeah, the almanac is pretty fucking cool. And if we were Marty McFly, we would take advantage of that almanac and be rich. But then when you watch it, it's just everything is cringe. Everything sucks. Then Michael Jackson comes out as his sister. It's bad. It's really, really bad. The Biff makeup is terrible. The dude that plays Biff, he's not a one-trick pony. He's a two-trick pony, and that third trick just didn't work. But then, like, Back to the Future 3 is a cute Western. Mary Steenburgen is adorable. And you just, like, you root for her and Doc Brown's love to blossom and everything. And it's a Western, and it's cool. It was so much better than 2. Tell you what, go back, watch all 3. 1 is a classic. Timeless. Ooh, Back to the Future is timeless, even though it's very timey. It's got 2 times in it, yet somehow it's timeless. Yeah, go back and watch all 3. Number 1 is a classic. Number 2 is hot garbage. And number 3 is, like, very uplifting and a great way to end the series. And then you don't have to watch the second one ever again. It's kind of like Star Wars Machete Order. If you understand the story of Star Wars, the film came out, and it was the story of Luke, a young nobody who rises up on the hero's journey to defeat the Empire. And that was the story. The story was the arc of Luke. And then it was so successful that the studio was like, give us another one. So George Lucas wrote The Empire Strikes Back. Well, at the end, there's a cliffhanger. You all know the cliffhanger. But the cliffhanger wasn't resolved until the end of filming. It wasn't, George Lucas didn't have this whole idea. It didn't happen until the end of filming. So then they make Return of the Jedi because they're still, again, they're capitalizing. Now they have to finish the story because stories come in trilogies. And then he comes out years and years later, and he makes the prequels, and everybody's like, we don't care about a baby Anakin. What are you doing? And he was like, well, the story is about Anakin Skywalker. And it's like, no, the story is about Luke Skywalker. So if you break down the films, there's a specific order that you watch. One of the best things about it was the cliffhanger at the end of Empire Strikes Back. So if you watch in machete order, you can Google machete order. If you watch it in that order, you preserve the Luke Skywalker story arc, and you have the cliffhanger. But you don't watch them in chronological order. So you watch Star Wars A New Hope, then Empire Strikes Back, then you're in the cliffhanger part, so you go back and you watch episode 2 and episode 3, skip 1 altogether. Phantom Menace, nobody cares. So 4 or 5, then you watch episode 2, episode 3. That gives you the story of Darth Vader. And then you go back and you watch Return of the Jedi, and that resolves the cliffhanger. So 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. If somebody hasn't seen Star Wars yet, show it to them in that order. 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. And then you have, okay, well, then there's the new movies, and then there's also like the 7, 8, and 9. That's fine. The 7, 8, 9 can all go after Return of the Jedi. That's fine. Rogue One, you should watch before Star Wars, so that kind of changes it. You can also watch Solo before that. So you watch Solo, then Rogue One, then 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. That's the new updated machete order since the new movies and stuff. And you know what? In my opinion, and you kind of know where I'm, my bedrock, my foundation, being that I think that Back to the Future 2 is garbage and I like 3 better. Also, Reservoir Dogs is my favorite Tarantino movie, not Pulp Fiction. What? Hateful Eight and Inglourious Basterds were better than Pulp Fiction. Anyway, so I got a lot of film hot takes, but this one is Rogue One is the second best Star Wars film. The first one is the best, period. I will listen to no argument to the contrary. But Rogue One is next. It is so good. We got a few minutes here. No viewers. Even now we don't have enough Brian in the chat. Jacksonville's about to score. Should we do this like the Manning brothers? Should we say call the touchdown? I'm going to say it's a pass to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram touchdown. Nope. Tank Bigsby out of bounds. And there's a flag. You know what? What are we even doing here, Jacksonville? Jacksonville, do you even want to play football? Doug Peterson needs to be left in London. Don't let Doug Peterson get on that plane. What an absolute clown show Jacksonville is. And he just looks so dumb standing there, just like, I get paid to make a football team of very talented players that you have on your fantasy team lose. All right, 1st and 20. What are the Jags going to do? Trevor Lawrence drops back. He's flushed out of the pocket. He loses the ball, and it's caught, and it's a touchdown. Gabe Davis, who I just dropped. All right, you guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for being part of the show. I hope you win. Hey, if you see down there on my nameplate, it says .cards / big boned FFB. That is my dot account. You can scan the QR code. You can find all my content. It's got a link to the Fantasy Football Advice Network YouTube. It's got a link to the Undroppables YouTube. It's got a link to Player Profiler YouTube. It's got a link to Player Profiler News YouTube. And it's got a link to Fantasy Football Plus YouTube, as well as my Twitter, my personal phone number if you want to send me a text message, Venmo if you want to send me some money, all of that stuff. So go to .cards / big boned FFB. Find all my content. I got my Tuesday, I got the Waiver Wire show and Dynasty Stock Market. Wednesday, I got Queen's Ransom. And also Tuesday, Undroppables Raiders Uncovered. And then Thursday, we got Points After Touchdown. We got the Thursday Night Tailgate. We got our Starts and Sit show on Friday. We got our Saturday Injury show. We got Breakfast with Bigz on Sunday. I'm coming at you 6 days a week. And you can find all that stuff at .cards / big boned FFB. Have a good weekend. I hope you guys all win, unless you're playing me.